They lost their foundation. They lost their priorities were out of whack. And you can't blame my generation, so what else is left? You can't, like I said, you can't go to the generations before the baby boomers' parents. You can't go there and say change could have happened there. Okay. And you can't blame me, which is Generation X, which is after baby boomers. So who else is there? Nobody before because of racism could do it on both sides, collectively speaking. And I couldn't do it because I'm too young. It was too late. If I was 20 years old in 2001, in the millennium, how could I have done something? That part. So that leaves only, if you couldn't do nothing before baby boomers and their parents, then and you couldn't do nothing after because it was too late, then guess what, partner? That leaves you. That leaves only you. Now you see what I'm saying. So then when someone like me comes along, now the baby boomers are turning their head looking at me. Like, I don't know why. Because I'm too educated. I know the history. And I know that you failed us. So the respect, in other words, that you think you're entitled to just because you have certain positions in this country and you can say how long you've been in the military and you can say how long you served here and there, whatever institution, it doesn't work here. It doesn't work here because I know that you had your priorities out of whack. You was either partying too much or you was busy working the white American cause. You did not take time to work for the African American cause, collectively speaking, as far as the generation baby boomer goes. So that's why I treat them like I treat them. Because I know the real history. You know, if you're an OG, you got to put in work. If you're an OG, in my opinion, what that means is, everybody should know what that means. If you're an OG, here's the first thing. You shouldn't be just acting like you're just entitled, first of all. And you should be providing opportunities. I don't care what it's in. I don't care what field it's in. The true foundational sign of an OG to me is someone who provides opportunities and someone who provides information and wisdom from their experiences. That's a solid OG. So someone out here saying, "Oh, I don't give that title to everybody." I don't care. I don't care about age. It's about what opportunities do you provide. That's real. These guys be walking around here. I'm an OG. You up there calling somebody your OG. Okay, what opportunities they provide for you? Did they provide any opportunities? Then you shouldn't even be giving them that title. If they provided an opportunity for you to come up, that's an OG. That it ain't about I'm the toughest around. I'm the most violent around. Nah, bro. I ain't even trying to hear that because you got all these crazy people out here doing all kind of stuff now. They ain't OGs. They're definitely not. So then what does it boil down to? It's boiled down to the opportunities that you provide. That's what makes you an OG. And I'm glad I said it when we talk about young lions, old lions. I'm glad I addressed the OG thing because it's everybody saying that all the time, very, very loosely in American culture. Oh, that's OG, that's OG. Oh, and the other one is the big homie. Oh, that's the big homie, right? Okay, why the big homie ain't providing opportunities? Man, come on, man. Look, if you're a grown man, you ain't scared of nobody, no matter what age you are, right? So we passed that part. We're past fearing someone that has been in power. We're past fearing someone because they're a little older. We're past that. So what else is left? Them putting you on. If you're under them as a BG, then why they can't provide the opportunity as an OG? It's just an educated assumption in perspective. Because I'm not, look, if a person is not providing opportunities, those are not my OGs, man. And I don't want you to think that for one second. For 1 second, that there's someone over me as the likes or the equivalent of an OG, but providing no opportunities. Nah, bruh. No, no, no. No, no, sir. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You provide opportunities. That's what makes you an OG. And we got to dismantle that, man, because there's so many people that are set up hoarding their opportunity, hoarding their power, hoarding their money, hoarding this, hoarding that. And you just saying OG, OG, OG. Then where's the opportunities, bruh? Where's the monies? That's what OGs do. They invest in the younger generation. Why you just think it's money? Yeah, the youngins think it's money, just money, but they know what they're doing. That's what real OGs do. They think you just get, here's some money. Okay, dang. But you gotta understand what that means. You gotta understand what that means. That's what real OGs do. They provide opportunities and monies. They don't want to see you out here broke. Nah, man, you the next generation. Why am I having you out here slipping like that? And then if they do, they don't have the right to be calling you, or they don't have the right to have the title as an OG. That's real. You can't make this up, man. You can't make this kind of stuff up. And that's why, like, I don't just give respect to people because they older. I don't do that. It's a lot of people that slip through the cracks. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. So why am I just give them respect based on age? And for some of you that haven't lived long enough, which I have, you understand that there are old fools out there. Right or wrong. So everybody that is old is wise. Okay, we glad you made it. We glad you made it to a certain age in life. Good for you. But does that necessarily make you a wise man? That's real. Or a wise woman. Just because you're older? And that's what they do. They look at you and think, oh, I'm over him. How you over me? How are you over me, literally? You're not providing any opportunities. You're not giving me any wisdom. You're not giving me any information. You're not implanting anything into me. So why would I give you the luxury of being called an OG? Just because you're older? That person could have been an old fool. That's real. So everybody that's old just entitled to everything. That's real. I'll show you a certain amount of respect as far as physically speaking. Okay, if you need to get across the street, or something you can't physically do, that part. I acknowledge that in that way, but just to be like, that's my OG, nah, that's been used too loosely. Now, you might use it loosely, and it might only mean to you, an older person. That's for you. But on the low, some people be taking respect because they older. But you ain't providing opportunities, though. That's what I'm saying. Who respects someone that doesn't do that? You feel me? I'm talking collectively speaking. Who respects that? That's all I'm saying. And low key, people be thinking they over you. How you over me? And remind you, Martin Luther King Jr. was 39 years old. Okay? Malcolm X, 39 years old. Not 59, 39. So you couldn't treat him like a BG, like he was an OG, because he was the one doing everything. Malcolm X was doing everything. Martin Luther King Jr. was doing everything that the older people than them wasn't doing. And did you see anybody sitting around talking about, looking like, well, yeah, I'm your elder? You see anybody doing that to Martin Luther King Jr.? Saying, I'm your elder? Remind you what I just said. They only made it to 39. So they was in their 30s and 20s doing all of that. Not 40, not 50, and not 60. And they had the most impact in the whole country. They had the most impact. And they wasn't even 40. They literally were not even 40 years old. So if we span it up to modern day times, some of these older guys and older women are not going to respect someone that's 39. Okay, you don't respect someone 39. Martin Luther King Jr. was 39. Malcolm X was 39. What I'm trying to show you is the potential is there for someone young to change things without these older lions. Malcolm, I didn't really see, I'm going to say Martin Luther King Jr., I didn't really see him really leaning on anybody. You feel me? You feel me? And he was 39. So we see through history, it is possible for someone young to rule, and everyone has to submit. Anybody else was up there with Martin Luther King Jr.? Was anyone else really up there with Martin Luther King Jr.? Did you see really anyone else there? They were marching with him, but he was the front man. That part. He was leading the nation, not the older people older than him. Was the older people leading the nation, or Martin Luther King Jr. was? Okay, he was 39. I'm educating people, man, because you sitting up here looking at age. I just showed you Martin Luther King Jr. was 39, not 49, 30, a 3 and a 9. Malcolm X, the same thing. He was a 3 and a 9. All right? So that you see the biggest people in our country, the greatest leaders, were not even in their 40s. And they had the whole communities submitted. It wasn't someone up there talking about, well, it should be me. Well, I'm the OG around here. I don't know who he is. You see what I'm saying? And see, we've gotten caught up in that without understanding it all. These people ain't even, they call themselves OGs out here. And if they got the money and if they got the information, just like the baby boomers, they're not passing it along. So they're making the same mistake now that the baby boomers made. You're not passing on information and opportunities. Not really. And that's for the big guys now. You are making the same mistakes as the baby boomers. They didn't pass on any information, really. They just lorded themselves. They kinged themselves. All right? Because remind you, they had all the opportunities, the technology, everything. Everything was blooming in their generation. And they didn't do anything really for you. I'm going to put it like this. The first priority of this country, let's keep it 100, should have been pulling the African-American experience out of poverty. All they did, these baby boomers did in the government, and all they did was give you programs for the African-American community, right or wrong. They gave you programs. And that's how they pacified you. If they hadn't gave you programs, you would have seen what you really needed to see. That the fact is you're living in a whole different experience, a poverty experience that you shouldn't even be living in. So what they did was to pacify you in that poverty experience is to give you programs. That's what they did. That's the history. Nothing but programs here. Still got the poverty experience, while everybody else don't. So it's possible for non-white people to live out of a poverty situation without going to a white neighborhood. These Mexican neighborhoods ain't a white neighborhood. That's a Mexican neighborhood. It's not white. And it's safe to say there's programs from the government in the Mexican neighborhoods. Man, come on, man. It's gotta be. Nobody ain't got it like that. So they gotta have government assistance to establish communities out of poverty. It's not just a work ethic, guys. Because like I've taught you before, you can work. Work ethic does not mean you're going to be rich. There's plenty of people that worked all their life. Are they rich? So a work ethic alone does not make one prosperous. You can work at McDonald's. I've seen it. One guy worked and retired from McDonald's. Obviously, he's not rich. Obviously, he obviously had a work ethic to keep up with the kids and everything throughout the decades. This guy retired, I think, in his 70s or 80s from McDonald's. And I'm pretty sure people were always telling him how good of a worker he was. I'm pretty sure. It's an educated assumption. However, that work ethic did not deliver him from poverty. So what delivers you from poverty? Opportunities. And opportunities that your American baby boomer government did not give to you. I can't make it up, bruh. So, man, I'm going to be campaigning about, you know, this tragedy. This is a tragedy. This is where it was a make or break situation. And the only time, now that we look at all the history, that really things could have changed around. Now it's so out of control. You know, it's so out of control, man. Totally in this whole American experience, man. That was the time during the baby boomers era, man.